I found this idea fascinating that somewhere in present day on the earth, there's this sort of society that's isolated in its own way and nobody knows about it. And at the same time that it's a present day society, it has also been, I'm assuming, a prehistoric type of society.
Well, at least very traditional.
Yeah,
They
but
have
I'm thinking that they could have been in this, this for who knows how long,
right,
in this state for who knows how long.
right.
And I think this sort of parallels to some other well-known stories, the Tower of Babel. It's this kind of elite society that's prehistoric, and they have this technology
Or an
that,
Atlantis, maybe.
yeah, something like that. This technology that is so advanced that
Mm-hmm.
ultimately it brings about their destruction. And in this movie, one of the interesting things is it's because of the technology that is drawn into the outside world, is drawn into this society because of their superior technology that they have, and that almost becomes a point of destruction for them. I think that's fascinating. And
Well, why is it fascinating?
well, it's fascinating because, okay, the idea that a society is there and it advances and advances and advances, and it can only advance so far, and then something destroys it. And then it's like you press a reset button and that civilization is wiped out.
Okay.
I think there's something psychological about that because when these type of things happen, when the technology advances to a certain point, it can only advance so far before evil forces are attracted into that to take advantage of that and use that for their own purposes.
That is interesting.
I mean, I think that's interesting that one, it's in the present day, but I'm also assuming that the society is has long surpassed any of these other countries in time.
Yeah, totally. It doesn't never really state how far back, but it seems like, I mean, they have their own, well, like just like it's a civilization that's so old that they maintain their creation myth, and it's an unbroken society from that point.
Right.
And if you look back in history, almost every civilization with their creation myth is been destroyed.
Right. And that's another point of interest too, that a society would maintain its creation myth and at the same time advance beyond the rest of the world in technology.
Right.
That's a very interesting idea.
Yeah, it is.
So, for instance, okay, we'll go back to the Tower of Babel story. So you have this tower that's being built, and it's for the purpose of these people going in the tower and getting to the top, and then somehow merging with spiritual forces or getting into heaven or something like that. Well, they're believing this thing, and then also that's going hand in hand with tremendous technology advances.
Yeah, and also I think in similar lines with that, kind of is the story of Atlantis, right?
Right.
Where you kind of have, and I'm gonna kind of mix the stories of Atlantis, but you have this civilization that reached the epitome of human technology and of human living, right?
Right.
Human knowledge, and then is suddenly destroyed.
Right.
And a lot of people have said that the Atlantis story is a sort of flood story where it's like God is deciding or passing a judgment on Atlantis, or like one of the like the not the Iliad, but Gilgamesh. How there's also like a flooding that destroys that civilization. So it's kind of like this idea that you're mentioning where there is a technological advance, and in some form, destruction is attracted.
Elon Musk has come out and said that the human race has to merge with machines or become obsolete. Have you heard that?
Yeah, he's not the first to talk about that. There's this idea called the singularity, and basically, it's this point in time where technology supersedes the human experience by so many leaps and bounds that the only possible way for humans to remain viable is to merge with technology. And it's basically talking about these artificial intelligence. So, like in the future, like even now, you have a computer and it's not intelligent, but it can do calculations that you program into it. So if there's a logarithm, it can just infinitely work out that logarithm, right? And then
Right.
you can look at the sets of data. And there's lots of logarithms in nature. If you look on your calculator, there's a logarithm called natural log, and this is a logarithm found in nature over and over and over and over again. So the thing with artificial intelligence is that if it was intelligent, if it was able to see problems in the world on its own and find solutions to those problems, and then be able to do 20 years of calculating in a week's time period, I mean, that puts human beings in a precarious scenario.
Yeah.
So the ability to keep up with these sorts of entities in the world would be difficult.